Hey 49ers fans, I'm Thomas Mott. Welcome into Chat Sports, and today, let's take a look at the latest San Francisco 49ers news and rumors here in the offseason. A lot of interesting stuff today. Let's go ahead and jump right into the idea of the 49ers trading back in the draft. Now, we've chronicled this a ton here on the channel. We did a full mock draft just the other day, a ton of great draft needs, offseason stuff. It's all there on the channel, so go ahead and go back and check that out. But we talked about the 49ers trading back because they only have 6 picks this year in the NFL draft. Only 6, that's it. So, Peter King, who's a very well-known journalist, Monday Morning Quarterback, NBC, has suggested trading back using the Seattle Seahawks method, which I'll explain here in just a second. But mainly, the whole idea is to gather more draft picks because the 49ers need depth at a lot of positions, most notably defense, depending on what happens in free agency. So, say, Thomas, what is this idea of copying the Seattle Seahawks and doing the Seattle Seahawks trade back idea, I guess you could say? Well, if you go back to the 2019 NFL Draft, Seattle had very few draft picks. Like, they had a first-rounder, a couple of late-round picks, very similar to what we have this year, but they went and made a ton of draft day trades and turned one pick into a bunch of other picks. So here's just a basic little rundown. They traded 21 for 30, 114, and 118. Then they traded 30 away for 37, 132, and 142. Then they traded 37 away for 47 and 77. All in all, when it was all done after all the draft day trades, Seattle last year turned the 21st overall pick into 47, 64, 120, 137, 142, and 204. They turned one pick into over 5 picks for them to go ahead and wheel and deal on later days. Now, first-round draft pick, we talked about this, is very, very important and obviously weighs very heavily. But if you can turn one pick into 5 or 6 other picks in the 3rd and 4th and 5th and 6th and 7th round, it might be worth it and it might be a great idea for our 49ers. So if you're wondering, St. Thomas, we're sitting there at 31, should we just take a player and then just sit tight for 2 or 3 rounds, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, then come back in the 5th and execute some picks there? You could, but you could also do what Seattle did last year and get a lot of value for one pick. So Peter King, I think, has a great suggestion and a great idea for the Niners to follow in Seattle. I know, division rival, but Seattle's footsteps to go ahead and acquire more picks. I would be very open to trading back from number 31 unless they have a guy that they're absolutely in love with, like a Grant Delpit from LSU, and they have to take him at 31. If the guy that they don't love is there, look for someone to go ahead and trade back because teams always want to move in to try and get a quarterback later in the first round. You'd think Philadelphia trading away 32 overall for Baltimore to go get Lamar Jackson a couple of years ago could be very similar to this. What do you guys think? It's very interesting in terms of this question, but I want you guys to answer the pinned comment down below while the ad runs. Quick ad break here. Don't worry about the ad on the video. Scroll down, answer the pinned comment. Should the 49ers trade back? Knowing what I just told you, do you want the 49ers to go ahead and trade back? Let me know in that pinned comment down below. Moving on, there are some mumblings about the 49ers potentially being a trade target for Darius Slay via the Detroit Lions. So the Lions have spoken, according to ESPN's Adam Schefter, to multiple teams in the National Football League. Now, we don't know how many teams that is, but it's more than one, so that's what multiple means. And they said that obviously, potentially, a couple of websites said the 49ers could have been one of those teams. No confirming that they did reach out, but they could have been one of those teams because the Niners have questions at cornerback. Now, Slay is a fantastic corner. Ever since he was drafted in 2013, 3 Pro Bowls in the last 3 years, $12 million left in the final year of his deal. He wants to get an extension, so if you sign or you trade for him, you probably have to give him an extension as well. But if you look at the 49ers depth chart, and we talked about this a lot on this show, you have Mosley, you have Witherspoon, you obviously have Sherman and K'Wan Williams, but how much trust do you give in the aging of Richard Sherman and the young, relatively newness of Emmanuel Mosley? Two opposite problems, right? Sherman's only getting older, still great, but getting older, and Mosley played well for the little bit that he was in there, but that was basically it after getting put in there for Ahkello Witherspoon. Comparing the two, though, Darius Slay to Emmanuel Mosley in 2019, look at these numbers. Now, Slay played more, but 2 interceptions, 46 tackles, 0 tackles for loss versus Mosley's 1 interception, 50 tackles, and 2 tackles for a loss. So projected trade would look something like this. The Niners would get Darius Slay, and the Lions would get number 31 overall because apparently the Lions want a number 1 overall pick or a first-round pick for Darius Slay. So all that knowledge thrown at you, do you guys want to do this trade? It's tough. Like, I would do this trade for a 2nd or a 3rd, but the Niners don't have a 2nd or a 3rd. So they would have to, trade out of number 31 and then make a draft day trade on the day of the draft to get extra picks on the 2nd day to be able to make the trade work for Darius Slay. If there's a lot of little bells and whistles that would need to go on here, I have a lot of trust in Emmanuel Mosley. I know we talked about him here on the show. It's like, He was good when he was in there. Can he duplicate that for 16 games in 2020? We'll have to wait and see, but I'd be okay if they did not trade for Darius Slay. Now, if they pull off a good trade package and it's fair and it's like, oh, well, you didn't give up much, then we would love to see Slay and Richard Sherman. That'd be the best cornerback duo in the National Football League, but I see it's very, very unlikely based on what I just showed you guys right here. What do you guys think? Should the 49ers trade for Darius Slay? Type Y down below for yes, type N down below for no in the comments section. Let me know what you guys think. Before we move on, I said this a lot, but you can still bet on sports even when the NFL is not in action with our friends at BetDSI. Chatsports.com/bet. Use the promo code 49ers, and you get a 120% deposit bonus whenever you first sign up, meaning put $100 down. You put a little code in there, 49ers, and you get $220. 120% of 100, $220. Simple math here to bet on whatever sports you guys like at BetDSI. Highly encourage you guys to bet on maybe the NBA. March Madness is almost here. Some great chances to win some money with our friends at BetDSI. You guys want some good injury news? How about this? Jalen Hurd, it's official. Fully healthy from his back injury. I'll say it again, fully healthy. Like, literally, he was injured in preseason last year, missed the entire, basically, 2019 season, and is expected to be fully healed, is fully healed now, and is expected, I should say, to be back on the field for the offseason, should make all OTAs, all mini camps, all training camp, like he is 100% healthy, finally, after the back injury that really sidelined his entire 2019 season. The only time we saw him was in the preseason. The stats there, 2 games, 3 catches, and 2 touchdowns. So a little spurt of greatness, I guess, until it was, put on the sideline with the back injury. But great news overall that Jalen Hurd is fully healthy. I cannot wait to see Jalen Hurd. A lot of people, the 2 people that everyone comments asking about are Jerick McKinnon, who is supposed to be healthy, and he is signed, so he might be a Niner. We talked about this. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Or Jalen Hurd, and I've always said, guys, there's no update on Jalen Hurd. He's still injured. Well, according to multiple sources and according to the 49ers in general, he has been fully cleared and should be good to go for the offseason. So hopefully you could have a 1-2 punch of Deebo Samuel, Jalen Hurd, and then another wide receiver, whether it's Sanders or someone else they sign or draft in this upcoming offseason. But I'm just excited to see Jalen Hurd back on the field because he was great at Baylor, my alma mater, and should be great for our 49ers. You know what's also great? We just hit 15,000 subscribers here on the 49ers Only YouTube channel. Trying to get it to 20,000 subs. So if you have not subscribed yet, click the red subscribe button down below. Click the notification bell. That way you're notified whenever we have the most recent videos dropped here, which is like every single day during the offseason because there's a bunch of news to get into. Final bit of news here, Will Fuller has been linked to our 49ers, who's expected to be a free agent, despite the fact that Texans exercised their 5th-year option on him, but they have not fully guaranteed it and signed off on the option. So he's technically signed for $10.5 million this coming year, but right before the March 18th deadline, they could release him. So it's looking like they are going to release him because the Texans need some money, and $10.5 million is a lot of money overall, especially when you already have DeAndre Hopkins. So it's looking like Fuller will be a free agent, and the Niners have some free agent needs at wide receiver if they let go of Emmanuel Sanders. The problem is he's missed 35% of his career games, only played in 65% of his games. The math there is not very good in terms of how healthy he has been, but let me just give you a little taste of how good Will Fuller can be. A couple of, I think it was week 5 or 6 against the Falcons. I can't remember if it's 5 or 6. Early on in the season against the Falcons, he had this game. Look at this, 14 catches, 217 yards, 5.5 yards per catch, and 3 touchdowns. Dominated a Falcons secondary. That's not awful, but also not that great overall. So Fuller, another free agent wide receiver that you could potentially go out and get, along with Robbie Anderson and Danny Amendola. Like, there are a lot of guys you go ahead and get in free agency, but this could be one the 49ers could really use another deep threat, because Deebo's kind of a deep threat, but not really a deep threat, more of a possession, quick hitter in terms of a receiver. So I'd love to see Will Fuller added to this. Just a matter of how healthy can he be? Will the Texans officially release him? Because again, we're still kind of waiting. And how much would he cost? Probably right around $10 to $12 million. But hey, depending on what they do with Eric Armstead and Emmanuel Sanders, the 49ers could technically probably afford him. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. You know what else we don't have to wait and see? These great deals we have on chatsports.com/49hat to get you guys 20 to 30% off 49ers hats right now. So summer's coming, right? You need a beach hat. You need a hat to go ahead and wear when you're out. Protect your face from the sun. 20 to 30% off authentic 49ers gear. Chatsports.com/49hat. Go ahead and pick you guys up one right now. Will Fuller wears a ton of hats, so maybe he'll pick up one if he gets traded to the 49ers, or I guess signed by the 49ers overall. Final question here. Should the 49ers sign or draft a wide receiver? If you think wide receiver is a need, what should they do? Should they sign one or draft one? Type S down below for sign, type D down below for draft. That could include Emmanuel Sanders being re-signed, which still technically is signed overall. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. There we go. All the time we have for today on our 49ers report here today. Listen, it's all good news. Like, this is all really good news. Options at trading back look like they're very, very likely. Use the Seattle Seahawks model because, boy, did they kill it in the 2019 draft. Trading for Darius Slay might cost a little too much, but if you need a corner, you think you need a corner, he would be an excellent option right there. Jalen Hurd, fully healthy. Thank the Lord. He's finally going to be out there, hopefully, in 2020. And Will Fuller, could he be an option at wide receiver? Boy, Samuel, Hurd, and Fuller as your 1-2-3 punch would be scary good for Jimmy Garoppolo and that offense. We'll have to wait and see. For the 49ers report, I'm Thomas Mott, signing off. Enjoy the rest of your day.